Indians are born debaters. Every day of our life, we exchange and we engage in debates and conversations. Most of the times, these debates are productive, sometimes very heated, and sometimes very argumentative. And that's because we live in an opinionated world. As we see these debates around us, we believe and we feel that there is something wrong with our behavior. Revolving around these debates, there are questions of broken public discourse, questions of moral turpitude. And the thing that we feel we desperately need is to rebuild the art of productive debates, of constructive arguments. When I was into my early years of university education, I was taken into debates by a senior fellow. I was trained there, and I participated in many debate competitions. The predominant lesson that I learned there was that argue with all your might, because you have to win with your argument. So when I was into these debates, and the debate competitions that I participated in were parliamentary debates. So these parliamentary debates are like that there is a government on one side and there is an opposition on the other side, and there is a big idea or proposal or an issue on which you are going to debate on. So the government in any case has to support that idea, and opposition in any case has to oppose that idea. So when I was into these debates, once we were into a final of a debate competition, and the motion that we ought to support was something which I personally disagreed with. And here a thing came to my mind, that why I am arguing this motion when I personally against it. But as the rules of debate are, that you have to support the motion when you are in government, so we supported the motion, we prepared our case, we went into the final, and we argued our case. And guess what? We lost it. The loss was not something which pinched my mind, but the idea that I was arguing this case just for the sake of a trophy. And if it was just for the sake of trophy, then what is the real purpose of debate? Or why should we engage or exchange our ideas in debates? And this is the very pertinent question, that what should be the real purpose of debates? There are two types. The parliamentary debate system which we follow in our universities and colleges is a sort of a debate in which there is a house, it represents a parliament. So let's suppose for a moment we divide this audience into two. So those on this side, on the right side of the hall, represent the government, and those on this side, on the left side of the hall, represent the opposition. And there is a motion which I'm going to give you. So government has to support it, and opposition has to oppose it. So are you ready? Look, there is the issue that even without looking at the motion, I haven't given you the motion, I have given you the issue. You are ready to debate, and this side is ready to support it, and this side is ready to oppose it. So the issue in this model is that you go into the debate without looking at the issue or the motion, and the debate is centered on the identity. You are more concerned about the identity that is imposed upon you or you are wearing, rather than the idea or the issue on which you are going to debate on. And secondly, what this model does is that when an identity is imposed upon you, you have to support the case, the side you are representing, and you have to oppose the case of your opponent. So it creates binaries of government and opposition, binaries of us and they, binaries of proponents and opponents. And debate in this case becomes a war. There are arguments and counter-arguments, there are bashing and counter-bashing. So when a debate is run like this, in such a fashion, you are no longer concerned about the issue and the argument. The only thing that you are concerned about is that the person making the argument. So debate in such a case becomes a very destructive exercise. And such destructive exercise leads to nothing. It produces no result. The only result that we have in this debate is that a winner and a loser. And this is exactly what you see around yourself, from our parliament to our talk shows, our classrooms, our colleges, our dining tables. We debate just for the sake of debate. We argue and we disagree because we have to disagree. And the only last word that we have in these debates is कि यार इस बहस का कोई फ़ायदा नहीं है. तो अगर इस बहस का कोई फ़ायदा नहीं है तो फिर आप ये बहस किस मकसद के लिए कर रहे थे? The question remains the same, that what should be the purpose of debate? And in order to dig out the answer to this question, what we did, that we formed a team of like-minded people in our university, And before getting to get the answer of this question, what we did that we tried to dig out the roots of this parliamentary debate model. And the interesting fact that came to our knowledge was that this model was introduced during the British era, and the primary reason behind the introduction of this model was to occupy the students inside and outside the classrooms so that they no longer participate in revolutionary activities. And when we get to know this thing, we tried to discover that what sorts of debates used to take place before this model. And an interesting thing came to our knowledge, that at time of the great Mughal Emperor Akbar, he had built an Ibadat Khana in Fatehpur Sikri. That Ibadat Khana was built for the purpose of debates. So scholars, theologians and philosophers from all across India and even outside the India would come there and engage and debate on most controversial issues of that time. So as a result of these debates, as Akbar's historian Abu al-Faizi writes in Akbarnama, the general atmosphere became more conducive for public discourse, and people started to exchange their ideas on the most controversial issues of that time. And as a result of these debates at Ibadat Khana, Akbar formulated a policy of Sulh Kul, a peace for all policy. And here we got the answer to our question, that what should be the purpose of debate. And the purpose of debate should be to reconcile the divided narratives, to converge the conflicting identities and ideologies, and to bring out the more plausible solution for the society. And to pursue this purpose of debate, what we did that we devised and developed an alternate debate model. And in this model, to overcome the issue of identity-centric debate, what we have done is that we have left the house open. So for instance, there is a motion that it may be related to anything from raising taxes to legalizing homosexuality or declaring Gulab Jamun as national sweet of Pakistan. So you are given the choice to choose the side, that you either want to support it or you want to oppose it or you want to take a middle stance on it. So when you are entering into a debate on the basis of the issue and the principal stance that you have on it, the debate is no longer limited to the identity. And the second thing that we have done is that we have changed the grading criteria. Earlier, your debate was graded or your scores depended upon your ability to strengthen your own case and deconstruct the case of your opponent. What we have done is that we have placed the grading criteria on 4 basic points. First is that how much you strengthen your case. Second is the constructive critique on your opponent's arguments. Third one is positive acceptance of good arguments of your opponent. And fourth one is technique developed by the speaker to develop consensus, to reach consensus. So in such a debate, when you are into a debate where you can assert your point and still you have some room to agree and disagree with your opponent, you can accept good arguments of your opponent, debate becomes issue-centric and argument-centric. And in this debate, when an argument is floated by any person, you look at the argument, you weigh the argument on the basis of truth and rationality it is carrying in it, and you are no longer concerned about the identity of the person who has made that argument. So debate in such a case becomes a very constructive debate. And to channelize this constructive debate into a productive debate and solution-oriented debate, what we have done is that we have produced or we have proposed an idea that at the end of such debate, both the speakers would present a joint paper. In that joint paper, they would list the issue, their respective assertions, and a final joint conclusive policy on that issue. So when such policy is formulated, the issue or the idea of the debate is pursued that it should be solution-oriented. So judges in that case would adjudge the speaker on how much he has supported his case, some acceptance of the positive arguments of the opponent's case, and the input given by the speaker to develop consensus and to reach out to that policy. Public discourse is broken in our society. Dissent and disagreement can lead to evolution, but if that dissent or disagreement is purely for the sake of dissent, then it leads to stagnation. Our mission is to heal that public discourse and to make it more conducive for democratic disagreement. For that, we have proposed a model. And we hope that one day we may have a parliament where our speakers, where our parliamentarians, where our ministers engage with each other, the government, from both sides, from government and opposition, agree and disagree productively and bring out the best solutions to our problems. And we also hope that we may have debates in our talk shows, in our schools and colleges, which are reasoned, which are rational debates. And it is a long struggle. It may transcend our lives, but this is how ideas flourish and things change. Thank you so much.